Hiber-Nation 42. Grizzlies Growls presents Stories from the Hiber-Nation. Monarch, the Big Bear of Tallac, by Ernest Thompson Seton, as read by David Grizzly Smith. Part 14. The Cataract. Just as fads will for a time sway human life, so crazes may run through all animals of a given kind. This was the year when a beef-eating craze seemed to possess every able-bodied grizzly of the Sierras. They had long been known as root-eating, berry-picking, inoffensive race when let alone, but now they seemed to descend on the cattle range in a body and make their diet wholly of flesh. One cattle outfit after another was attacked, and the whole country seemed divided up among bears of incredible size, cunning, and destructiveness. The cattlemen offered bounties, good bounties, growing bounties, very large bounties at last, but still the bears kept on. Very few were killed, and it became a kind of rude jest to call each section of the range not by the cattle brand, but by the grizzly that was quartered on its stock. Wonderful tales were told of these various bears of the new breed. The swiftest was Reelfoot, the Placerville cattle killer that could charge from a thicket 30 yards away and certainly catch a steer before it could turn and run, and that could even catch ponies in the open when they were poor. The most cunning of all was Bryn, the Mokolumne grizzly that killed by preference blooded stock, and would pick out a merino sheep or a white-faced Hereford from among 50 grades, that killed a new beef every night, and that never again returned to it, or gave the chance for traps or poisoning. The peg-track grizzly of Feather River was rarely seen by any. He was enveloped in mysterious terror. He moved and killed by night. Pigs were his favorite food, and he also killed a number of men. But Pedro's grizzly was the most marvelous. Hassayampa, as the sheep-herder was dubbed, came one night to Kellyan's hut. "I tell you he stood there. He has killed me 1,000 sheep. You tell me you kill him. You have not. He is big as that tree. He eat only sheep, much sheep. I tell you he is gringo devil. He's devil bear. I have 3 cows, 2 fat, 1 thin. He catch and kill the fat. The lean run off. He roll in dust, make great dust. Cow come for what she make dust. He catch her and kill. My father got bees. The devil bear chop pine. I know he by his broke tooth. He gum his face and nose with pine gum so bees no sting. Then eat all bees. He devil all time. He got much rotten manzanita and he till drunk loco, then go crazy and kill sheep just for fun. He got big bull by nose and drag like a rat for fun. He kill cow, sheep, kill Faco too for fun. He devil. You promise me you kill him. You never kill. This is a condensation of Pedro's excited account. And there was yet one more, the big bear that owned the range from the Stanislaus to the Merced, the monarch of the range he had been styled. He was believed, yes, known to be, the biggest bear alive, a creature of supernatural intelligence. He killed cows for food, scattered sheep, or conquered bulls for pleasure. It was even said the appearance of an unusually big bull anywhere was a guarantee that Monarch would be there for the joy of combat with a worthy foe. A destroyer of cattle, sheep, pigs, and horses, and yet a creature known only by his track. He was never seen, and his nightly raids seemed planned with consummate skill to avoid all kinds of snares. The cattlemen clubbed together and offered an enormous bounty for every grizzly killed in the range. Bear trappers came and caught some bears, brown and cinnamon, but the cattle killing went on. They set out better traps of massive steel and iron bars, and at length they caught a killer, the Mokelumne grizzly, yes, and read in the dust how he had come at last and made that fateful step. But steel will break, and iron will bend. The Great Bear Trail was there to tell the tale. For a while he had raged and chafed at the hard black reptile biting into his paw. Then, seeking a boulder, he had released the paw by smashing the trap to pieces on it. Thenceforth, each year, he grew more cunning, huge, and destructive. Kellyan and Bonamy come down from the mountains now, tempted by the offered rewards. They saw the huge tracks. They learned that cattle were not killed in all places at once. They studied and hunted. They got at length in the dust the full impressions of the feet of the various monsters in the regions wide apart, and they saw that all the cattle were killed in the same way, their muzzles torn, their necks broken, and last the marks on the trees where the bears had reared and rubbed, then scored them with a broken tusk, the same all through the wide range. And Kellyan told them with calm certainty, Pedro's Gringo, Old Peg Track, the Placerville Grizzly, and the Monarch of the Range are one and the same bear. Little Man from the mountains and the big man from the hills set about the task of hunting him down with an intensity of purpose which, like the river that is dammed, grew more fierce from being balked. All manner of traps had failed for him. Steel traps he could smash. No log trap was strong enough to hold this furry elephant. He would not come to a bait. He never fed twice from the same kill. 2 reckless boys once trailed him to a rocky glen. The horses would not enter. The boys went in afoot and were never seen again. The Mexicans held him in superstitious terror, believed he could not be killed, and he passed another year in the cattle land, known and feared now as the Monarch of the Range, killing in the open by night and retiring by day to his fastness in the near hills, where horsemen could not follow. Bonamy had been called away, but all that summer, and winter too, for the grizzly no longer denned up, Kellyan rode and rode, each time too late or too soon to meet the Monarch. He was almost giving up, not despair, but for lack of means, when a message came from a rich man, a city journalist, offering to multiply the reward by 10 if, instead of killing the Monarch, he would bring him in alive. Well, Kellyan sent for his old partner, and when the word came that the previous night 3 cows were killed in the familiar way near the Bell Dash pasture, they spared neither horse nor man to reach the spot. A 10-hour ride by night meant worn-out horses, but men were iron, and new horses with scarcely a minute's delay were brought them. Here were the newly killed beeves, and there the mighty footprints with the scars that spelled his name. No hound could have tracked him better than Kellyan did. 5 miles away from the foot of the hills was an impenetrable thicket of chaparral. The great tracks went in and did not come out, so Bonamy sat sentinel while Kellyan rode back with the news. "Saddle up the best we got," was the order. The rifles were taken down and cartridge belts being swung when Kellyan called a halt. "Well, say, boys, we got 'em safe enough. Won't try to leave the chaparral till night, and if we shoot 'em, we get the cattleman's bounty. If we take 'em alive, and it's easy in the open, we get the newspaper bounty, 10 times as big. Let's leave all guns behind. Lariats are enough." "Well, why not have the guns along to be handy?" "'Cause I know this crowd too well. They couldn't resist a chance to let him have it, so no guns at all. It's 10 to 1 on the riata." Nevertheless, 3 of them brought their heavy revolvers. 7 gallant riders on 7 fine horses they rode out that day to meet the Monarch of the Range. He was still in the thicket, for it was yet morning. They threw stones in and shouted to drive him out, without effect, till the noon breeze of the plains arose, the down current of air from the hills. They fired the grass in several places, and it sent a rolling sheet of flame and smoke into the thicket. There was a crackling louder than the fire, a smashing of brush, and from the farther side out hurled the monarch bear, the gringo, Grizzly Jack. Horsemen were all about him now, armed not with guns, but with the rawhide snakes whose loops in air spelled bonds or death. The men were calm, but the horses were snorting and plunging in fear. This way and that the grizzly looked up at the horsemen, a little bit, scarcely up at the horses. Then, turning without haste, he strode toward the friendly hills. "Look out, Bill, Manuel, it's up to you." Oh, noble horses, nervy men, grand old grizzly, how I see you now. Cattle keepers and cattle killer face to face. 3 riders of the range that horse had never thrown were sailing, swooping like falcons. Their lariats swung, sang higher, and Monarch, much perplexed, but scarcely angered yet, rose to his hind legs, then from his towering height looked down on horse and man, if, as they say, the vanquished prowess goes to the victor. Then surely in that mighty chest, those arms like necks of bulls, was the power of the 1,000 cattle he had downed in fight. Caramba, what a bear! Pedro was not so far astray. Sing, 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 the lariats flew, swish, patch. 1, 2, 3, they fell. These were not men to miss. 3 ropes, 3 horses, leaping away to bear on the great beast's neck. But swifter than thought the supple paws went up. The ropes were slipped, and the spurred cow ponies ready for the shock went, shockless, bounding, loose ropes trailing afar. "Hi, Hal! Ho, Lon, hit him, hit him!" As the grizzly, not liking the unequal fight, made for the hills. But a deft Mexican in silver gear sent his hide riata whistling, then haunched his horse as the certain coil sank in the grizzly's hock, and checked the monarch with a heavy jar. Uttering one great snort of rage, he turned, his huge jaws crossed the rope, back nearly to his ears it went, and he ground as a dog might grind a twig. So the straining pony bounded free. Round and round him now the riders swooped, waiting their chance. More than once his neck was caught, but he slipped the noose as though it were all play. Again he was caught by a foot and wrenched, almost thrown, by the weight of 2 strong steeds, and now he foamed in rage. Memories of olden days, or more likely the habit of olden days, came on him. Days when he learned to strike the yelping pack that dodged his blows. He was far from the burned thicket, but a single bush was near, and setting his broad back to that, he waited for the circling foe. Nearer and nearer they urged the frightened steeds, and Monarch watched, waited, as of old, for the dogs, till they were almost touching each other. Then he sprang like an avalanche of rock. What can elude a grizzly's dash? The earth shivered as he launched himself, and trembled when he struck. 3 men, 3 horses in each other's way. The dust was thick. They only knew he struck, struck, struck. The horses never rose. "Santa Maria!" came a cry of death, and hoovering riders dashed to draw the bear away. 3 horses dead, 1 man dead, 1 nearly so, and only 1 escaped. Crack, crack, crack went the pistols now as the bear went rocking his huge form in rapid charge for the friendly hills, and the 4 riders, urged by Kellyan, followed fast. They passed him, wheeled, faced him. The pistols had wounded him in many places. Don't shoot, tire him out," the hunter urged. "Tire him out? Look at Carlos and Manuel back there. How many minutes will it be before the rest are down with them?" So the infuriating pistols popped till all their shots were gone, and Monarch foamed with slobbering jaws of rage. "Keep on, keep cool," cried Kellyan. His lariat flew as the cattle-killing paw was lifted for an instant. The lasso bound his wrist. Sing, sing, went 2 and caught him by the neck. A bull with his great club foot in a noose is surely caught. But the grizzly raised his supple, hand-like tapering paw, and gave one jerk that freed it. Now the 2 on his neck were tight. He could not slip them. The horses, at the ends, they were dragging, choking him. Men were shouting, hovering, waiting for a new chance, when Monarch, firmly planting both paws, braced, bent those mighty shoulders, and in spite of shortening breath, leaned back on those two ropes as Samson did on the pillars of the house of Baal, and straining horses with their riders were dragged forward more and more, long grooves being plowed behind. Dragging them, he backed faster and faster still. His eyes were starting, his tongue lolling out. "Keep on, hold tight," was the cry, till the ropers swung together, the better to resist, and Monarch, big and strong, with frenzied hate, seeing now his turn, sprang forward like a shot. The horses leaped and escaped. Almost. The last one was one small inch too slow. The awful pang with jags of steel just grazed his flank. How slight it sounds, but what it really means is better not writ down. The riders had slipped their ropes in fear, and the Monarch, rumbling, snorting, bounding, trailed them to the hills, there to bite them off in peace, while the remnant of the gallant crew went back sadly, muttering. Bitter words went round. Kellyan was cursed. "His fault. Why didn't we have guns?" "We were all in it," was the answer, and more harsh words, till Kellyan flushed, forgot his calm, drew a pistol hitherto concealed, and the other took it back. Thank you for listening to Stories from the Hiber-Nation. Comment on the website at grizzliesgrowls.com. This program is offered under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.